I'm reporting now the blood vessels and nerves in thoracic cavity. Nerves in the thoracic cavities are vagus nerve, sympathetic chain, phrenic nerve, and recurrent laryngeal nerve. First is the vagus nerve, carries an extensive range of signals from digestive system and organs to the brain and vice versa. It is the thin cranial nerve extending from its origin in the brainstem through the neck and the thorax down to the abdomen. Also known as the vagal nerves, this system controls specific body functions such as digestion, heart rate, and immune system. These functions are involuntary. The most important function of this nerve is afferent, meaning bearing or conducting inward, bringing information of the inner organs such as gut, liver, heart, and lungs to the brain. This suggests that the inner organs are major sources of sensory information to the brain. We can see the vagus nerve right below this red broken line. Second is the sympathetic chain. The thoracic part of this runs downward on head of ribs and leaves the thorax on the side of the body of the 12 thoracic vertebra behind the medial arcuate ligament. The thoracic part of the sympathetic chain has rami communicantes, ganglionic fibers to the heart, aorta, lungs, and esophagus. And the sympathetic chain is ganglionated chain present bilaterally extending from the base of the skull to the coccyx. The sympathetic trunk is a fundamental part of the sympathetic nervous system and part of the autonomic nervous system. It allows nerve fibers to travel to spinal nerves that are superior and inferior to the one in which they are originated. Also, a number of nerves, such as most of the splanchnic nerve, arise directly from the trunks. Third is the phrenic nerve. The phrenic nerve is a mixed motor or sensory nerve. The nerve is important for breathing because it provides exclusive motor control of the diaphragm, the primary muscle of respiration. It is also the most important nerve due to its role in respiration. The phrenic nerve provides the primary motor supply to the diaphragm, the major respiratory muscle. Phrenic nerve passes motor information to the diaphragm and receives sensory information from it. There are two phrenic nerves, a left and a right one. We can see both phrenic nerve yellow colored to the right and to the left. Last is the recurrent laryngeal nerve or RLN. It branches off the vagus nerve and has an indirect course through the neck. It supplies innervation to all of the intrinsic muscles of the larynx, except for the cricothyroid muscles, as well as sensation to the larynx below the level of the vocal cords. These nerves control all intrinsic muscles of the larynx except for the cricothyroid muscle. These muscles act to open, close, and adjust the tension of the vocal cords, and include the posterior cricoarytenoid muscles, the only muscles to open the vocal cords. There are two recurrent laryngeal nerves, right and left. The right-left nerves are not symmetrical, with the left nerve looping under the aortic arch and the right nerve looping under the right subclavian artery, then traveling upwards. They both travel alongside the trachea. We proceed now to the blood vessels in thoracic cavity. These vessels include the aorta, superior vena cava, pulmonary artery, pulmonary veins, and inferior vena cava. The aorta arises from the left ventricle of the heart and arches superiorly and posteriorly. First is the aorta. It is the main artery that carries blood away from your heart to the rest of your body. A bovine arc is the most common variant of the aortic arch and occurs when the bronchocephalic artery shares a common origin with the left common carotid artery. a bovine arch is apparent 50%, ranging to 8 to 25% of the population, and is more common in individuals of African descent. Why is it called bovine arch? Because this term refers to a common anatomic configuration of the aortic arch. By its name, the bovine aortic arch in humans would presumably resemble the aortic arch branching pattern found in the family of ruminant animals, including cattle and buffalo. A true bovine aortic arch bears no resemblance to any of the common aortic arch variations. In cattle, a single great vessels originated from the aortic arch. This large bronchocephalic trunk gives rise to both subclavian arteries and carotid trunk. The bicarotid trunk then bifurcates into the left common carotid artery and right common carotid artery. The presence of a single long vessel originating from the aortic arch is a common occurrence in animals with deep chests. Second is the superior vena cava, or SVC, is the superior of the two vena cava, the great venous trunk that return deoxygenated blood from the systemic circulation to the right atrium of the heart. The superior vena cava carries blood from the head, neck, arms, and chest. It is located in the thorax or chest. More specifically, it is in the anterior or front, right, superior or above mediastinum. The superior vena cava starts at the lower border of the first costal cartilage. The superior vena cava is a vital structure in the circulatory system that helps drain large amount of deoxygenated blood from the head, eyes, neck, and upper limbs into the upper left chamber or atrium of the heart. So ada nga blue nga blood vessel is superior vena cava. Fourth is inferior vena cava, also known as IVC or the posterior vena cava. It is a large vein that carries blood from the torso and lower body to the right side of the heart. From there, the blood is pumped to the lungs to get oxygen before going to the left side of the heart to be pumped back out to the body. The superior vena cava carries blood from the head, neck, arms, and chest, while the inferior vena cava carries blood from the legs, feet, and organs in the abdomen and pelvis. The inferior vena cava is formed by the coming together of the two major veins from the legs, the common iliac veins at the level of the fifth lumbar vertebra just below the small of the back. Sa picture below, may mudtaan inferior vena cava. Third is pulmonary artery. Pulmonary arteries carries blood from the right side of the heart to the lungs. In medical terms, the word pulmonary means something that affects the lungs. The blood carries oxygen and other nutrients to your cells. The pulmonary artery carries oxygen-poor blood from the right ventricle into the lungs, where oxygen enters the bloodstream. The pulmonary veins bring oxygen-rich blood to the left atrium. Pulmonary arteries play an important role getting carbon dioxide out of your blood and oxygen back into it. We can see the pulmonary artery igbawla sa pulmonary vein. Last is the pulmonary veins. It is the veins that transfer oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. The largest pulmonary veins are the four main pulmonary veins, two from each lung that drain into the left atrium of the heart. The pulmonary veins are part of the pulmonary circulation. The pulmonary arteries and the pulmonary veins are the vessels of the pulmonary circulation, which means they are responsible for carrying the oxygenated blood to the heart from the lungs and carrying the deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs. There are typical four pulmonary veins, two draining each lung. First is right superior, drains the right upper and middle lobes. Right inferior drains the right lower lobe. Left superior drains the left upper lobe, and left inferior drains the left lower lobe.